Well, some unfortunate news for the Tennessee men's basketball team. A likely season-ending injury for a Tennessee basketball starter. We'll tell you who that is and how it affects Tennessee's rotation moving forward. Your Twitter Tuesday questions in segment 2, and we'll conclude a Tuesday show while breaking down the latest in the Alvin Kamara situation from Pro Bowl weekend. All that and more coming up here on a Tuesday, Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into a Tuesday edition of Locked On Vols. I'm your host, Eric Kane, and today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, it is where the game starts. We've got plenty to discuss here on a Tuesday Locked On Vols. Again, I'll give you a little preview in the cold open. We'll talk hoops in segment 1. We will get into Twitter Tuesday in segment 2 and talk Alvin Kamara in segment 3. If you're watching this on YouTube, welcome to it. Thanks so much. Over 300 subscribers. The goal is 1,000. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and please help out the show and do that. Search Locked On Vols on YouTube. But thanks so much, regardless, for making Locked On Vols your first listen each and every day. All right, it is your team every day, and we're talking Tennessee Volunteers. So Rick Barnes met with the media on Monday, and we discussed it a little bit on yesterday's show. A little bit with Ryan Shumpert as well of RTI. It didn't seem like Rick Barnes was overly concerned with the situation with Olivier Nkamhoua post-game following the South Carolina win. Of course, you don't know much at that point. I get that. But it didn't seem like it was any great cause for concern. Well, the results came back, and unfortunately, Olivier Nkamhoua likely to miss the remainder of the season. That's what Tennessee is saying right now, suffering a left ankle injury. Don't know if it's broken. Just know that it is a left ankle injury, and he's going to have surgery, which will likely keep him out for the remainder of the season. This is huge in a number of areas for Tennessee. First of all, he is Tennessee's best rim protector, bar none. And it's not Uros Plavsic. It's not John Fulkerson. It's not Josiah Jordan-James. I think Josiah Jordan-James is the best defender on the team. But in terms of rim protector, that would be Olivier Nkamhoua. And he's also a guy that has really started to come along on the offensive end in a big way. You know, he started off SEC play, being really one of Tennessee's more consistent players, then kind of, went away for a little while trying to figure it out, had a strong game against Texas A&M, had a good game against Vanderbilt a couple weeks ago, and then, was playing well against South Carolina before going out with that injury. So both ends of the court, Tennessee's losing a guy that is critical to the success of the team, in my opinion. It's good that Tennessee has some options, though. What I envision going forward would be Tennessee going and playing small ball, going with the rotation, putting Fulkerson back in the starting lineup, putting him at the 5, and then putting Josiah Jordan-James at the 4. You could still keep Uros Plavsic in the starting lineup, play him at the 5, but have Triple J play the 4. Then you insert another guard into the lineup, and everybody's probably going in and saying, well, it should be Zakai Ziegler, right? And then that is very well an option. I would keep Zakai Ziegler on the bench and keep him in his role that he is for Tennessee right now, because he is such a spark plug coming off the bench. It's incredible. I mean, what a weapon, what a luxury to have a guy that could come and bring this much energy on the offensive end and the defensive end and score you some points the way he's been doing it off the bench. That's what Tennessee needs. And so I would keep Zakai there. But you could, of course, put him in the starting 5 if you wanted to. You could insert Justin Powell into the starting rotation. You can put Victor Bailey into the starting rotation. Doesn't matter who the first 5 are that's out there. It's who the last 5 are that are out there ending the half and, of course, ending the basketball game. So Tennessee has some options. You can, I would expect Jonas Adu, even though he missed a whole lot of time earlier in the season, I would expect him to get a few more minutes moving forward. Meshack, I expect him to get some more minutes moving forward as well at the 4 position. Could you... there are just a number of different ways you can attack this, moving forward. But I think one rotation, one lineup out there that you're going to see a lot would be Josiah Jordan-James playing the 4, much like they did with E. Pons playing the 4 and the 5 at times. So that's what I would expect moving forward. Of course, a lot of teams you can't match up, go small ball. You got to put some big bodies out there and got to play them for some minutes. And of course, that's where, Fulkerson, Uros, Brandon Huntley-Hatfield, and some guys like that, Jonas Adu, will continue to, make their presence known. But it's a good thing for Tennessee to have some options, but it's unfortunate that Tennessee is going to miss out on a guy that I think was progressing and coming along really, really nicely. Here's what Rick Barnes had to say Monday, of course, at his media availability on losing Olivier Nkamhoua for the season, likely.
First of all, really sad for all of us with Olivier because he's become such a huge part of our program and this team. And you could just see the strides that he's been making every game. I mean, he just was getting more and more comfortable understanding, I think, so much about where he was as a player and what he needed to do for our team. But what that does, it opens up minutes that other people can grab, and there's every guy's here because we recruited him to be here, but whoever gets those minutes will be the best defensive player or players. I mean, that's because Olivier had started really doing some good stuff there. Obviously, his shot blocking, he gave us some rim protection, and so for the minutes that he, obviously we could swing Josiah to that spot a little bit more, but we'll need some other guys, and it's a great opportunity for some guys, and we're going to see who wants to capture it and go with it. Well, it'll be Brandon, Jonas Adu. He'll have, we played Jemiah Meshack at the four some too. So again, between those guys, it's going to be who gives us the best chance to win basketball games, and it will get down to who's the better defensive player. We have that's what's, and they're all young. All three of them are freshmen, and we think they all have the ability to score, but what we need out of them is consistency on the defensive end, and that will be who gets those minutes. I'm not saying he's going to get all those minutes because we can do some other things as well, but that's what's going to get guys on the court this time of year. Well, you know what? About a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, you could tell he was starting to get where we wanted him to be, playing with more speed, and there's no doubt. I mean, he's the best rim protector we have on our team. I watch him do it every day in practice, and it's I do think he's grasping right now what it takes to play at this level night in and night out, and he's still he's here because one, we think he's got a great future ahead of him, but we need him to expedite it right now. Same with Brandon. We need those guys. I mean, if they don't take advantage of it, it's on them because there's an opportunity there right now. It's tough on O. It really is, and he has worked so hard, and his teammates respect him for so many different things, obviously. But when I was speaking with him last night, he's emotional about it, which, again, but we talked about it, how some way, somehow, it's going to be a blessing in disguise. We're not sure how it's going to work out, but I think it's going to help him in the long run. And because I've seen it. I've seen guys that embrace it as opposed to just shutting it down. He won't do that. He'll continue to be a great teammate. He has been a great teammate for those young guys, and he'll continue to do that. He wants to see this team win. The very first thing when he was told that that he would be out, or before they really got the diagnosis back, the first thing he said, I can't believe I don't get to practice tomorrow. That's his mindset, because he is as unselfish as any player we've ever had, and he's gone through a lot, many ups and downs, but yet he has really started finding himself, and I just think he's got a great future ahead of him, and he'll make this work some way, somehow. He'll make it work for the betterment.
That was Rick Barnes on Monday when speaking with the media about the absence of Olivier Nkamhoua moving forward. A lot of good things to say there from Tennessee's head basketball coach. And again, I can't stress the importance of this enough. This is a huge loss. This is a huge loss. The season's not over. Tennessee has options, but this is a huge loss for the University of Tennessee. They got to find a way to move on past the best rim defender and a guy that is really counting on giving you some consistent scoring here lately as well in Olivier Nkamhoua. So Tennessee will do that on the road Wednesday night, 9 o'clock Eastern time in Starkville, Mississippi. I joked on a radio hit I did Monday evening that one time visiting Starkville, Mississippi is just one time too many, to be frank. So if we have any listeners in Starkville, Stark Vegas, apologies there, but it kind of is what it is. Hell, you might even agree with me in that regard. Real quick before we hit the reset, the men have moved up a couple spots from 22 to number 19 in the latest AP poll. The women have slipped back from 7 to 13, and Tennessee freshman Zakiya Ziegler has been named the SEC Freshman of the week following his monster game against South Carolina. Twitter Tuesday content when we return here on Locked On Vols. But first, Bet Online. It's got you covered this season. More props, odds, and lines than ever before as football continues its march through the playoffs right up to the big game. Hey, that's coming up this Sunday. BetOnline.net remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just about football. BetOnline has got you up to the minute info and pro and college hoops, NHL, boxing, UFC, along with the live real-time updates of current games. Don't wait to take advantage of all these amazing offers that are available for the 2022 season. BetOnline, it is where the game starts. It is Twitter Tuesday time here on Locked On Vols. Thanks so much for hanging out with me here today. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Don't want to waste much more of your time. We got plenty of submissions. Can't thank you enough for that. Again, every Tuesday is Twitter Tuesday here on the show. Andrew chimes in. Do you think the Vols will continue to make receiver a priority in the transfer portal? If not, who do you think winds up being the third starter next to Hyatt and Tillman? Tennessee will absolutely make receiver a priority in the transfer portal. I expect Tennessee to bring in a receiver. Again, more spots will open up in the summer. So I expect Tennessee to bring in a receiver at that point in time. Remember, Javonte Payton, came in over the summer as well and became a starter and had a huge role on this team. So a receiver will definitely be a priority. Tennessee already tried to bring in Isaiah Nair, and that would have been just a ginormous get. But ultimately, he flipped to Texas. In terms of players on the roster right now, I mean, you're looking at an outside guy, right? So Hyatt likely to be the guy in the slots. Tillman outside over there. Ramel Keaton's the guy that filled in for Javonte Payton when he went down last year. I don't expect him to be a starter next year. Caleb Webb, that will be his spot at some point in time. I'm not saying year one, as he's a true freshman coming in as an early enrollee, but he is everything you look for in that type of receiver. So Caleb Webb down the line, maybe Jimmy Callaway, that would be big for the University of Tennessee. So Andrew, appreciate you chiming in there. Hitter 94, who do you think would be on Auburn's shortlist if they go with Kevin Steele? How concerned should we be about losing Rodney Gardner if that were to happen? I've seen this mentioned a little bit. Of course, Auburn is just a complete terminal, and depending on the situation, how it progresses overnight and on into Tuesday at the time of this recording, we might talk a little bit about Auburn and how that could potentially affect Tennessee. But it's just a complete crapshoot right now, right? Auburn, if they do end up making a change, and it's getting so bad in the public eye that the university had to release a statement, essentially saying, hey, we're still gathering facts. We'll let you know when we have a decision. If that doesn't tell you everything that you need to know about the confidence meter in Brian Harsin, I don't know what does. But if they decide to make a move, you've already missed this first wave, or really the wave of coaching hires. You're not going to be getting your first choice. It would set your program back. But if you do, but I mean, at this point, how can you go on, right? I still do not believe Auburn would go and get Steele. Kevin Steele politics behind the scenes to essentially get Gus Malzahn fired. But he was named the interim, but they still wouldn't give him the job at Auburn, right? They're not going to give him the job this go around. That'd be idiotic. So I would not expect Kevin Steele to be given that job if it comes to that point. However, if that were to be the case, then absolutely Rodney Gardner would have a decision to make, in my opinion, because he loves working for Kevin Steele. They worked together for many, many years. But Rodney Gardner does love being here at Tennessee. So point being, I don't expect that to happen whatsoever. If Auburn makes a move, I don't expect Kevin Steele to be brought back at all. He's already been at Maryland. Now he's down at Miami this go around. So we'll see. If I was Auburn, I made a move, I'd go get Jeff Levy right now, bring him to Oxford, or bring him to Auburn. That would be my move. Would be number one on my list in my opinion. Josh Gaddis has already signed on at Miami to be the offensive coordinator. So, I don't believe, obviously he would leave there to come and be a head coach potentially, but he did just take a job at Miami, but he was the Broyles Award winner this past season. So those would be the guys on my list. Kyle Hensley, it looks like our coaching staff will remain intact. Who do you think is the best position coach that we have? And who do you think has the most room to improve? Well, best position coach that Tennessee has is, by and large, Rodney Gardner. And that's easy right there, defensive line. Who do you think has the most room to improve? I would still say probably Cody Burns. I thought the Tennessee's receivers did a nice job this year, but it took them about 4 games to really hit their stride and figure out the rotation and kind of get in sync with the quarterbacks and all that. And that's okay. That happens at times. but I think it took a little bit longer than what Tennessee fans and the Tennessee coaching staff really wanted to. Cody Burns is still a young guy. I believe that he has a lot of room to improve, and I think he did fine this first year. But I think that would be where I would go in that situation. Who do you can look at it this way as well? Which position group overachieved the most last year, and which one underachieved? Also, I do want to give a shout out to Ryan John Murray, the linebackers coach. Tennessee's linebackers were not great this year, but what they were able to do, playing 3 linebackers, 2 of which guys were out there that should not ever touch the field on defense in SEC play, in my humble opinion. What Brian John Murray was able to do with that unit, tip your cap. He did more with less than anyone in the country. So I think Brian John Murray, the linebackers coach, deserves a lot of praise there as well. We'll go on to Daniel. Does Tennessee men's basketball realistically have a chance to go deep in the tournament with a team being as healthy as they are currently? Also, what's going on with the Lady Vols? Lady Vols losing Green, that's huge. Kelly Harper mentioned that, after the UConn loss, not only from scoring off the bench, but just an emotional leader, a grad transfer that came in and bought into the program, and leadership on the bench, on the courts, what she gave you scoring. Tennessee's still trying to search for answers there. But they got to figure them out in a hurry. Long gone are the days where 15-0 or 15-1 and 8-0 in the SEC. That's, it feels like an eternity ago, following a loss to Auburn, to Georgia, to Auburn, to Florida, now to UConn. Season's not over. Still a lot to play with, but Tennessee's got to figure it out in a hurry. Men's team, the injury to Olivier Nkamhoua, it certainly hurts. Don't get me wrong, but the biggest thing for Tennessee is what Tennessee team are you going to get? You're going to get a team that's going to show up defensively. How are you going to shoot the basketball? Are you going to make 40% of your shots from the field? Or are you going to shoot 35% from 3? I think that's, you like to shoot better. Don't get me wrong, but the way Tennessee plays defense, that's still a winning formula. But you got to hit your free throws. This Tennessee is statistically one of the worst free throw shooting teams in the country. So, that's my big area. It's like, what offensive team are you going to get? Is Josiah Jordan-James going to keep up his presence on the offensive end? Is Santiago Vescovi going to continue to get his 13 points every single game? Kennedy Chandler ever blow up and get you 20 a game? Is it Kai Ziegler? Is he going to still give you the punch off the bench? Those are the questions I have. I still think Tennessee can make a run to the second week of the tournament, even without Nkamhoua. But losing Nkamhoua, it's Tennessee beats itself more than other teams beat Tennessee, and that's been the case all season long, in my opinion. We'll go on down to K. Wayne. Tennessee has been getting a lot of preferred walk-ons. What is the difference between a preferred walk-on and just a walk-on? Is this just a glorified term for walk-on, or is there extra benefits to being a preferred walk-on? Is there any of these preferred walk-ons that you expect that will make an impact the next couple of years? Well, that's a really good question. Tennessee has been racking up on the preferred walk-ons here over the last, really the signing period for the University of Tennessee. They brought in a number of them. And I want to give a shout out to Robert Boswell. If you guys have not checked out in your spare time, the Walk-On Perspective, it is an awesome, awesome podcast that goes in depth on walk-ons and their journeys. He meets up with some of these guys all across the country at all different football programs and tells their story of walking on and earning scholarships, or just kind of their journey to begin with. So give that a listen. Robert Boswell does an awesome job with the Walk-On Perspective. I actually reached out to him to clarify, to make sure that I had this right. But to answer your question, K. Wayne, a preferred walk-on doesn't have to try out. A preferred walk-on will get to go through camp. A preferred walk-on pretty much does everything with the team to begin with. You're just not on scholarship. You don't have that meal plan. You're not getting you're not getting your school paid for. A regular walk-on has to try out, right? And so every single year when you go and cover camp, you got guys who are in camp, and then when school starts, you get 10 to 15 other players that are out there, and they don't have the names on the back of their jerseys or anything like that, because those are the walk-ons who made the team, who are now at practice for the first time. So a preferred walk-ons, Tennessee has a couple of them that have turned down a lot of Power 5 offers. One that's turned down an SEC offer. I think name, image, and likeness will play a lot in that regard, especially for Tennessee kids. I know one for sure that's got some name, image, and likeness deals. We talked about it with Navy Schuler. I don't know of any other ones that have them right now. But again, with name, image, and likeness, you're going to see this more often. Kids that are in a good position standing to begin with will maybe choose to walk on more than take a scholarship when transferring via the transfer portal. So biggest difference is with the preferred walk-on, you do not have to make the team. You're there during camp. The walk-on, has to straight up make the team. All right, we will move over to Jordan, and Jordan wants to know, if Olivier is in fact out for the season, which guy do you expect to see more run in his absence? Would it be Brandon Huntley Hatfield? Pro That's tough, man. You know, Hatfield BHH is a 5. Um, Olivier is a 4 that can play 5. You have 3 5s on this team, and Fulkerson and Uros and BHH. Um, could you see more Meshack? Meshack's a guy that I think you're going to see a lot more of. I'm not saying he's going to play 20 minutes a game, but I think Jemai Meshack's a guy that you're going to start seeing play a little bit more of the 4 as well. You'll see his minutes increase, but it's going to be a team effort, right? I mean, you'll move Josiah to the 4 likely. Put a 5 of there of either Fulky or Uros, and then put a guard out there. Is it Justin Powell that gets the start? Is it Ziegler gets the start? Is it Victor Bailey that gets the start? It's going to be a combination of a team effort. I think Jonas would do as well, but in terms of guys that might see the most minutes increased, it might be Meshack, to be completely honest. Maybe I'm off here. It's just all about the determination of where you are in terms of your lineup, matchup dependency, all that type of stuff. Kind of will tell the tale on who's going to be playing and who's playing better defensively as well. I mean, Rick Barnes has said that before as well. He said that on Monday. And then lastly, we will go to the Instagram DMs where Joshua chimes in. Curious as to your thoughts regarding Zakai Ziegler. It's a freshman, and the presence he is providing as a freshman. He just looks like he knows what to do far more than Chandler, although Chandler has the talent upside. What if Z grows a few inches? He's just 18. Yeah, I mean, that'd be huge. He's just 18. I don't think he'll ever be a tall guy, but certainly he can pack on an inch or two before he leaves Tennessee. I think that'd be huge. I just think that he's kind of fearless. He certainly does not have the talent upside that Chandler has, as you pointed out. You can see why Chandler will be a first round draft pick at some point in time, in my opinion, because he is just so quick. He is so decisive. He's so athletic. He's a great basketball player. He's so quick and penetrating to the rim. Ziegler it's kind of that spark plug. He's that emotional leader. I think teams maybe take it easy on him a few times because they don't expect much out of him, and he makes them pay. I just think energy is the biggest thing, and I think he's going to continue to get his minutes. He's playing 25 to 30 minutes a ball game at this point in time too. Also, what are your thoughts on the last few games? Is this team that's figured it out and finally clicking, or is this too soon to get excited for what they can bring to the tournament as a team that maybe is hitting its stride late? Because even though the record looks good, it's been spotty play. Yeah, again, it's at this point in the season, you are what you are. Tennessee is an elite defensive team. Tennessee is very spotty on offense. You see how they played against Kentucky offensively. You see how they played against Texas A&M offensively. You see how they played against South Carolina offensively. I mean, there's a lot to like, but just doing the little things right, boxing out, creating second chance opportunities, hitting your free throws, not turning the basketball over. Tennessee still struggles to do those things on a consistent basis. And especially if you're not hitting your free throws, I harp on this all the time, and I apologize, but you're not going to beat anybody if you can't hit your free throws. So Tennessee's finding a groove offensively. Olivier Nkamhoua, it's going to hurt him a little bit, trust me, but Josiah Jordan-James playing better, Ziegler playing better, Justin Powell, Victor Bailey even playing better. That's encouraging moving forward. I'll say it again, even with the loss to Olivier Nkamhoua, I still could see Tennessee making it to the second weekend of the tournament, but things have to click and things have to go right. It's not a gimme whatsoever. All right, guys, thanks so much for dialing into Twitter Tuesday. Been a fun segment. Again, every single Tuesday, you take over the show, DM me at _Caner and at Locked On Vols for your Twitter Tuesday content. All right, we'll come back. We'll chat a little bit about Alvin Kamara and his situation. But first, I want to tell you about Rock Auto. The ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, it's now impossible for your local chain of auto parts store to stock up on all the parts you need. So why endure the often pointless or seemingly intimidating questioning while you wait in person behind the counter to order parts on their computer, choosing only the brands and the specifications that the warehouse happens to carry? You have a computer and you have access to rockauto.com at home and in your pocket. Save time and money when using Rock Auto. Why choose to spend up to 30%, 50%, hell, sometimes even 100% more for the same parts from your chain store or your car dealership? Rock Auto is a family business serving to do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Rock Auto's prices are always so reliably low for every single customer, and you can explore their easy-to-use website today and find the solution to your auto parts needs. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or your truck. While you're there, write Locked On and the How Did You Hear About Us box so they know that we sent you. amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Visit my friends at rockauto.com. We got a short and sweet segment 3 of a Tuesday show. Went a little long with Twitter Tuesdays, and of course, talking about the absence of Olivier Nkamhoua for the Tennessee men's basketball team moving forward. So this will be a little short and sweet, and probably fitting because it's something that none of us really want to talk about, but we do need to discuss, give you some updates on what's going on. Again, this is Eric Kane here on Locked On Vols. Thanks for hanging out. VFL, Saints running back, 2017 NFL offensive rookie of the year, Alvin Kamara. He has been arrested on a battery charge in Las Vegas, and he spent the night in jail on Sunday night into a Monday morning. So here's kind of how this has been working. And I've got the police report pulled up right here, and I'm just going to kind of skim through it for you. It was Saturday at around 6 o'clock local time in the evening. A dispatch detective was called on to the hospital there in Las Vegas, interviewed a patient that had been just essentially beaten up. His eye was so swollen shut that he was having some vision problems. Essentially, he got jumped and all that, and they interviewed him. We're trying to figure out what it was. And so over the course of the story, the victim identified what was later known as Alvin Kamara as the guy that kind of jumped him. And this happened earlier on Saturday in a casino, after hours casino. And the report goes essentially that they were leaving the establishment, Kamara and his buddies. The victim walks up and starts talking to them, making small talk, tries to get on the elevator with them. Alvin Kamara essentially shoves him, says, "No, you're not getting on with us." And then it sounds like from the police report that everybody just started jumping him and kicking him and punching him and all that type of stuff. We'll have to see exactly what happens. Alvin Kamara did make an appearance in court on Monday. I don't have the latest on anything of that, but he was held in prison in Las Vegas for, a bail of, I think, $5,000. And it'll be really interesting to see what the NFL and Commissioner Roger Goodell kind of how they're going to handle this moving forward. Here, I'm trying to search for exactly how much he was held overnight for. There's a bail of, $5,000. So, nonetheless, Alvin Kamara spent the night in jail, and that was Sunday night into Monday morning. Now, he wouldn't play in the Pro Bowl on Sunday afternoon, which is just so confusing to me. So, the police were dispatched to the hospital, interviewed the victim. That was on Saturday. Alvin Kamara played in the Pro Bowl, and then Las Vegas police, according to the police report, show up, interview Kamara at Allegiant Stadium, and then they arrest him there without any incident. So this is an interesting time. Alvin Kamara has never been in legal trouble whatsoever. He's done a whole lot to help communities. He's done a whole lot to help underprivileged children. He's kind of a spokesman for NASCAR now. He's a fun guy, right? Everybody makes mistakes. I don't know the situation. I wasn't there, but from the police report that I've read, it seems like Alvin Kamara made a mistake and he was very much in the wrong. We'll have to see once Alvin Kamara comes out and speaks and gives his side of the story. We'll have to see exactly what he says and the ending resolution. I've seen anywhere from some legal experts chiming in on social media that Alvin Kamara could be suspended anywhere from 6 games potentially next year. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen here, but VFL is in trouble with the law, and it seems like it was kind of from his doing. So we'll see how this plays out. Even if a mistake was made, a mistake was made. I've made plenty of mistakes, nothing like that, but I've made plenty of mistakes that have hurt people and have hurt myself in the process, and it kind of is what it is. But everyone's innocent until proven guilty, but certainly from reading the police report, it looks like Alvin Kamara just kind of screwed up here, and so we'll have to see exactly what the latest is. Potentially, of course, I said 6 games that I've been reading up on. Somebody I read, a legal expert, said that it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility if the Saints were to release Alvin Kamara. I don't know. We'll have to see if that's going to be the case. That'd be huge. You talk about one of the NFL's best running backs that would hit the open market, right? And after serving a suspension and all that. So we'll have to see what happens. Dennis Allen was hired as the Saints' new head coach to replace Sean Payton. He was the sitting defensive coordinator, then named interim coach when Sean Payton stepped down. He is the new Saints coach. So obviously it's a guy that knows Alvin very, very well. We'll have to see exactly how the legal process plays out moving forward to see what the future of Alvin Kamara is with the Saints, and ultimately the first part, if not all, of the 2022 season. So you never want to see that. You never want to see that. A wrong place at the wrong time. But obviously a bad decision looks like it had to be made here. So we'll see exactly what happens with this, but I wanted to give you the latest and kind of read you off some of the police report from Alvin Kamara in Las Vegas when he was arrested for a battery charge over the weekend. Guys, thanks so much. Been a really, really fun and action-packed Tuesday show. We discussed the Olivier Nkamhoua injury status, how he will likely be out for the remainder of the season. We took your Twitter Tuesday questions and talked a little Alvin Kamara here in segment 3. Thanks so much for making Locked On Vols your first listen every single day. Check out Chris Gordy of Locked On SEC. Hopefully we'll have Chris Gordy on the show on Wednesday, and we'll talk a little bit more Senior Bowl action with the Tennessee Volunteers down in Mobile. He was on site, but check out his SEC podcast, Locked On SEC. He gets interviews from around the conference every single day, does an awesome job there. Make that your second listen behind Locked On Vols, which is your first listen, that being Locked On SEC. Guys, thanks so much, as always, for hanging out with me here today. If you haven't already, subscribe on YouTube at Locked On Vols. Search for it, support the show on YouTube. But every single morning, wherever you get your podcast, it is Locked On Vols, your team every single day. Guys, thanks so much, and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, everybody.